Welcome to Living the Dream Iowa Life. I'm your host, Hanna Nuss, and each weekday we'll share enthusiasm for what's possible and dive into the stories of Iowans living their dream lives right here in the heartland. Whether you're chasing a big goal or just looking for a little inspiration, we've got you covered. Let's change the world together. This is Living the Dream Iowa Life. Let's go. Hey, welcome to the Living the Dream Iowa Life podcast. I'm your host, Hanna Nuss, and we are back. It has been actually 4 months to this day since I stopped recording what I have now titled Rural Reflections. So this is our daily conversation about moving forward in life, making our dreams happen in unexpected ways and places. And this is where we kind of collect our thoughts and do that work. And while I also do some interviewing alongside of all of this with monthly themes and topics, I love just diving in and having conversations. And I have done that for let's see, 6 years every day, having these reflections, these conversations about moving life forward, going after your dreams. And only recently did we shift to actually living the dream, being in it, being, instead of just chasing, like here we are, living the dream Iowa life. And I love bringing that perspective out. And I love working and conversating and discussing what I'm working on this platform. I love doing that. And so I have done that for 6 years, and only recently did I have to take a complete break from that work, from coming here, bringing my thoughts and reflections to this space, because 4 months ago today, I was in a life-changing automobile accident, and I was severely concussed, suffered neck injuries and a knee injury to the knee that started it all. All of the pain, all of the trouble, suffered a knee injury to the other side of that knee. But the knee was very minimal compared to the amount of head trauma that I had. And I tried recording after and actually was successful, but you could tell as the days went on, my brain got fuzzier and fuzzier. And by the, I think, last day that I recorded, I recorded maybe 3 or 4 episodes after the accident. And by day 3, you could tell that I just couldn't handle the lights. I couldn't handle the continuous conversation. I couldn't handle all of it. My brain was just slowly shutting down. And by the last day, I had to end up getting off air early because I was slowly realizing that my brain was something was wrong by that last day. And so I stopped recording completely. Haven't been back to the podcast since then, which is a crazy thought considering it was something that I did every single morning for 6 years, to be so sidelined by something that I couldn't even think about doing it. Like, there was no capacity. And I'll say it's going to take me a while to build my stamina for this level of speaking and conversating, because I've been off for so long. But I could have never planned for, never expected, never have found a way through what I did without work that I have done here. This injury was one of my biggest yet, required so much mental strength and resilience that I can't even begin to speak to. Like, I hate crying. Probably one of my least favorite things to do. And I would cry almost daily, just trying to do. And I think that this was it. The very basic exercises that I was being asked to do, like remembering words in a sentence, remembering something that they said 5 seconds ago. Not being able to do that, not having enough mental clarity or memory to do that, not being able to remember how to write. Like my husband had to fill out all of my forms. I couldn't drive. Not being able to speak clearly. Like there was so much hesitancy in the way that I spoke, in the way that I could relay information to people. And as someone who kind of speaks for a living, you could imagine how alarming that might be, right? And so for me, it was life-changing. It was devastating. It was so scary. And I'm a writer, and so not being able to physically write, even though that's not how I write my books, it is a part of the practice of how I write my books, however, and not being able to write was so scary. Not remembering how to do things was so scary. And now I think really I have learned so much about so many things, but I would say very specifically brain injury and brain health. Like I had no idea how much went into your brain maintaining its status. Like I had no idea that when you suffer a brain injury, when it needs to heal, it will just slowly shut down. And it was so strange. And I remember a few things specifically, like brighter days out of the days. And for 4 months, I would say only a couple of weeks ago, I just didn't feel like eating. Food was not an exciting thought. I had no appetite whatsoever. I would say I am getting back there, still not normal, but slowly working my way back into the eating game here. And most people are like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky. You don't have to worry about you're just losing weight and you're not even trying. It's like, yeah, that sounds great, except for I actually like my body. I like the fact that my clothes fit. I like the fact that I know what to expect from this body. I like the fact that my body operates because I am not starving it. I have no interest in shrinking. So it wasn't a great thing, even though most people, chalk it up to that. Like, oh, lucky you. Yeah. And so not eating for probably at least 3.5 months of just not eating food. Like I would force myself to eat dinner, but it was forced. It wasn't fun. I didn't love it. I didn't love food anymore. It was always a struggle. So that was one of the things. And your brain obviously needs that to operate, which is why, nope, starving myself, shrinking myself, not being able to think clearly because I'm not eating enough calories is not something that I'm interested in. I did that. I did that for a very long time, had a very severe eating disorder. So I really have no interest in heading back down that road. I know how severely that affected me. No, thank you. Nope, not there. Don't want to be there. Don't. So that was a weird side effect of your brain not working. I think that when I was in the accident, I hit the vehicle this way, which would have caused my head to jar this way, one impact, and then when I kind of came back down into the vehicle, we would have had a second impact. And so there's just a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of brain power that you need, that when your brain is not working, it shuts off what it thinks you don't need. And I remember like walking to work at one point, and like usually I'd be walking around, taking in the sights, looking at the ground, like the sidewalk, looking at the signage, looking at the buildings, taking it all in, looking at the sky, listening to the birds, enjoying nature. And I had no capacity for that whatsoever. I had a severe problem for about 3 months, like understanding where my body is at in space. And I have experienced fear, but the fear of not understanding, like not being able to navigate the truth of your body, is like nothing I have ever experienced. It was so, I don't know if demeaning is the right word, but disempowering. Because I'm like a walk through the store and smile at you kind of person. And since running my shop, I don't even remember when I'm not that person. Like, I don't understand that if I'm at this shop versus my own, that I shouldn't be just welcoming people and having a conversation with them. It's so strange. And to like not have the mental capacity to smile, to engage with people, to look people in the eye, to even have a normal effect, like so strange. And every time, and I could tell when my brain was sort of wearing down, wearing out of its own power, I would feel kind of my soul, and that probably sounds strange, but I would almost feel my soul kind of leaving my body, if that makes sense, that there was nothing there. And some of my friends who saw me during this time could attest to that, because there wasn't anything there. I was myself, but I was a shell of myself. I didn't have enough capacity for emotion, for excitement, for passion, for work, for inflection of words. Like, I could barely even speak words at all. I don't know. It was probably the strangest experience that I have ever had. That went on for I would say the last 2 weeks. I have finally felt like myself, and there were so many different medicines prescribed. There were so many different ways to deal with this, and I don't know, working on brain chemistry is such a trial and error process. I am so very, very thankful for my local care teams who got me in concussion therapy right away. I suffered a severe concussion, and concussions back in my day, back when I was an athlete, it was like, oh, you got a concussion, you better sit out and rest. No big deal. Now they have so many protocols related and around that. It's kind of crazy. And I'm so thankful that my care team knew about this concussion therapy. I think so much of what I was struggling with and why recovery took so long for me was mostly just because I couldn't really rest. Like, I own my own business. This really was the only thing that I could turn off, and mostly I turned it off just because I couldn't do it. I couldn't speak clearly. I couldn't keep a train of thought for a half an hour, I still feel like I may not be able to. There was just no way for me to do this work, keep this going, which hurt me so bad. I mean, I have been able to do this, keep this show going for 6 years, and to have to take 4 months. 4 months off is just absolutely insane. And I would have never expected this. And I think that that's kind of the beauty of life. We'd never know what to expect. We never have a for sure thing. And I felt like maybe I was in this for sure path, and I've been doing this thing for so long, and, you know, it's going just fine. And leave it to life to just shake and break you when you least expect it. And you go, oh, that's no big deal, right? But it is a big deal. We don't want these things. We don't expect these things. And when they come into our stratosphere, usually, and always, and I know that I said this on a podcast in November or December, like, I should be doing these things so that I am not taught a lesson in a way that I do not want it. And here we are, folks. I don't know that I wrote about it in my first book. Maybe I hit on it a little bit. And I think I hit on it a little bit in my second book as well, which the work on has been pushed out due to this accident as well. This has pushed every single thing in my life, just like derailed it, pushed it back, completely hurt progress of everything. And the problem really isn't, oh, you lost, a couple of months of whatever. It's like, no, I lost like a year in planning, in preparation, right? Because if you're 3 months behind, you're really a year, if not 2 years behind, because I don't need to be 3 months ahead. I need to be 6 to 12 months ahead. So if I get 4 months behind in work, then that means that I am actually a year and a half behind in work already, because I have to be that much out in front of where we're going. And so that's damning when you think about this work and you think about me, really betting on myself. And it's interesting because that's what we're talking about for the rest of March, is this idea of betting on yourself and what to expect when you do that. And I obviously bet on myself, and we have a very strong family system around us that allows me to be able to do that. And having a supportive family, I think, is the only thing that makes that possible for me. But I was able to bet on myself, and coming out of this accident, I think so many learnings, so many opportunities for applications, so many things that I'm pulling from this that were really just calling me to sit down, shut up, and be. And, we talked prior to the accident about my word being no. And I think so much of this experience comes from that knowing place, that no. I know, K-N-O-W. Know that this is what I'm supposed to do, that this is where I'm supposed to be. And, I couldn't have asked for, I would have appreciated a little less volatile experience when it comes to that. I am not going to lie. I could have settled for a little slowdown. We didn't necessarily have to go this hard. We could have gone a little bit easier when it comes to how we navigated this lesson that needed to be learned. But I always say, and this is one of my favorite things to say, that if you don't listen, the universe will force it. If you're not willing to listen when the lesson is easy, right? And sometimes the loss is hard. So that's what makes that so difficult to listen to, because we have to give something up. We have to trade something that's comfortable. We have to move into maybe a harder stage. We have to do something that we don't want to do. And so it's really hard to listen when we're being called to do that, to take that chance, to make that move. And, we continue to put it off because it's painful, because we don't want to do it, because it's not going to work. We're not going to like it. Please don't make us do it. No, it's going to be painful. It's going to be, no. And then if we say no long enough, we get hit with what I would call maybe a level 2. Okay, it's not too bad, right? But it's like a pain point that we're like, why is this happening to me? What is going on? Who am I supposed to be? What is happening? And we can't slow life down. And I would say that this is like a cold, or it's a cold that we can't get over, or it's like everybody's sick in our household, or I'm sick and then they're sick and then the next person is sick, and it's just kind of like annoying level. And we don't always attribute that to, I need to make a change, and I haven't been, but I believe that usually is what it is. And then you still don't listen. The change still needs to happen. You're still getting that same message. You're still not listening. And then, boom, level 4, no choice, pain. And you knew that you needed to make this move. You knew that you needed to do this thing, but you weren't moving. And eventually the universe decides for you, and it says, this is for you. I am going to make this move for you, and you're not going to have a choice anymore. And I think that is the biggest thing when it comes to all of this. At some point, you're not going to have a choice. You are going to be forced into the discomfort. And I remember when I was leaving my job, and I did write about this in the second book, I was like, no, I really want to leave my job. And that's kind of what I kept saying. I want to leave this job. I want to go try this podcast. I want to be an entrepreneur. That's what I want to do. And I kept saying those things, but not making choices that aligned with that. I was kind of safely navigating that trip, and safely letting myself say these things, but not actually move towards them. And eventually, there was a pain point, a totally unexpected, ultimatum from my employer. Just hey, you're either doing this thing or you're working here. You get to decide, but you have to decide. And so I chose this crazy, I want to write books, I want to start businesses, I want to help people, this crazy thought. And it wasn't producing any money. I wasn't really doing anything, but I knew that if I didn't choose this thing, that there was more pain headed my way. That this thing that I had sort of wished or manifested out of my life, this full-time job, it wasn't going to last. It just wasn't. It wasn't where I was supposed to be. And so I kind of safely navigated those waters. No, I can do both. I can be both. I could be happy here. I could be happy in this job. Just trust me. I could do this. I could do it. I can be both things. I can be happy. I can be satisfied. Come on. Come on, universe. Let me do it all. Let me do both. And universe was just slowly I know, but no. This is not what you're asking for. You want to go all in. You want to do this. Here you go. I'm going to create this window for you. Here it is. And I kind of kept running for a little while, like, no, a window. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. And then similar to this accident, like, you will be given no choice. It will be more pain than you want. When you could have taken the easier route, when you could have just made the decision when everything wasn't kind of feeling like it was against you. And that's exactly what this accident felt like. Like, Hannah, you've been avoiding this. You know what you need to do. You know the road that you need to go down. And you just haven't done it. And eventually, I think the world gets tired of you. Your creator, the universe, all the powers that be are like, hey, I asked you to do this thing. You were not listening. And I had an interesting experience over the weekend, and it's just kind of like, the door has always been open. You're just not walking through it. Yay! I love lessons like that. And so I have known this for a while, for longer than I care to really accept or acknowledge, but I have known that it's time to like level up and stop treating this thing that I've created like this small existence. Like, it isn't that. It's not small, it's not simple, it's not any of the things that I had kind of kept saying that it was. And it's really time to own that piece. And I haven't been, and I think taking my ability away to do that was a really interesting play. So kudos to you, creator. That one really got me, because I think if I had been able to do everything all along, message would not have been delivered, for sure. If it had been anything else, like if I had just broken my leg, I could have kept working and everybody would have felt sorry and it would have been so sad. But I couldn't do anything. Like, I could not think. I could not speak words. I cannot tell you how damning that was. Oh my gosh. Like, I could not have conversations with people. That's my favorite thing. I love talking to people. I love having deep conversations. I love talking for 3, 4, 5, 7 hours if I can. And I couldn't say more than 2 words without like stuttering or stopping or having to think of the next word that I was going to say. So crazy. So crazy. And so I think the biggest reflection and takeaway from all of this is, number one, when you are being given messages, I would listen to the first one. And if you don't get the first one, like, for sure, take the easy route of just like that level 2 annoyance. 'Cause I think level 3, level 4, when you're really not listening or doing what you're supposed to be doing and you know what you're supposed to be doing, you don't want that level. You don't want that level of call. You really don't. And, just listening to your intuition, to what kind of that higher power, your creator, is calling you to do, and doing it in real time. And I know that that's tough. Obviously, I ran from mine for more years than I'm willing to admit. But I am so grateful to be back here. I'm so grateful to be healed and healthy and somewhat brain capable of bringing you this show again. Because I think more than even for any of you listening, this is a really important practice for me, and these reflections and this opportunity to kind of talk out where I'm at mentally and on my kind of journey of life here, it's really important to be able to come back and do that for my mental health. And hopefully it helps other people, but I know at the end of the day, it helps me kind of map and chart where I'm going. And so grateful to be back here. The biggest thing is make sure that we are listening, because the universe will sweep in and make the decision for us if we're not willing to make it for ourselves, and really put us in harder positions than we deserve to be in. If we had just listened from the start, trusted, and taken those big scary steps that we were always meant to take. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world.